There we go. There is sound. That I was literally talking the entire time and no sound was there. So yeah. But what's up, everybody? How are y'all doing? What's going on? Who's ready for an awesome show? I don't know. Like, I'll have to look in here and see who the old. It says Mr. Craig Houston is live, but he is not live at all. He is not live at all. There. Oh, I can't see your face, Leah. It says you're in the chats, but for some reason, that's weird. It doesn't have you. It just says Facebook user. So I have no idea what's going on with that. But what I can do is I can monitor that from my cellular device. Anyways, what is going on, everybody? What is up? How are you guys doing? We are going to get into some things tonight, and I hope you guys are ready for this because I'm ready for a jam-packed episode. This is my awesome headphones that somebody got me. So I don't know, like I'm a little nervous, so pardon me. A little presentation nervousness, but it's okay. It's okay. So let's jump into this thing. I want to do just a little bit of talking, I guess. First, though, I want to show you guys something that is very freaking cool. And there is a random sweatshirt over here looking very, very, very blue sweatshirtish. I should have taken care of that. I am so sorry. This is a dumpster fire. All right. So what we're gonna do is I want to talk a little bit about some stuff. My face, I'm done. Face just froze. Anyways, so ladies and gentlemen, this was a presentation that I did. I would say that was like about a month ago. Now we're coming up on a month, and I want to go into a little bit of. I'm not going to go into too much of it, just because I already did it. But I want to go like a little bit into it for you guys because you guys are freaking awesome. And there is actual. Okay, so I get to see it over here. It's running captions, which is great, so people can read captions. But I want to talk about giants in the ancient and modern world with you folks tonight. So welcome on in for those of you who are watching. What I want to get into actually a little bit of is I want to get into Iram of the Pillars. Now I have talked to no end about Iram of the Pillars, and you can ask Leah. She is very well versed because I'm very well versed and I have passed on that information to her, so she could probably explain this just as well as I could. But what I wanted to talk about, a couple things regarding Iram and some new information that I had just picked up on watching a documentary on YouTube. I know everybody's like, YouTube, the famed YouTube, the documentaries. But so the mythical lands of the giants, Iram of the Pillars. We're gonna get right into this. So in the Arabian Peninsula, and I will show you where the Arabian Peninsula. So this here is you have Saudi Arabia that sits roughly right here. Up here you have Jordan, and then you have Israel that kind of is up in this area here, home of the Nabateans, which we will get into, provided we have time tonight. So here is Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Yemen, and Oman. And here in this mess right there is the Rub al Khali Desert, home of, you guessed it, Iram of the Pillars. Now, some new information that was brought to light to me due to some research that I have been doing is that the fabled land of the Nabateans and the the people of Ad, are together. They come from the same area. So the Nabateans themselves come from up here in Israel in the Negev Desert. The Negev Desert sits right up in here in Israel. So the people of Ad are supposedly come from Saudi Arabia. Well, if that's the case, and this desert had to have stretched down a bit, and at one time they might have met, but the two tribes themselves are somewhat off. So are the Nabateans the byproduct of the Ad? Now, supposedly, the Ad came down to here, migration routes and all that. And down here, we see that supposedly this is roughly where Iram of the Pillars is located, which I could possibly find given the money, given the team that I would employ to excavate, check the area. I don't know how hard that would be with the Saudi Arabian Minister of Antiquities. I don't know what he is like. I've never met the person. So just something to think about in regards to this here. So there we go. Oh, so there it is. That's cool. So that's how he does it. I was kind of wondering how he does that, but he does. And for some reason, I can't get the Facebook users to show up. So that's cool. So that's how he does that. I figured I would just try that. But right here, we have where Iram of the Pillars is located. Now, this route had to come down here, right? So an interesting point that I wanted to get back to here is it's mentioned in the Al-Fajr or the Daybreak in the 89th surah of the Quran. And the verse goes as follows: have you not considered how your Lord dealt with Ad, the people of Iram, possessors of loft buildings, the like of which were not created in the other cities? Side note, lofty meaning imposing height. I know that I'm going to change this too, because that is not A, that is I, and I did not know that. So that is a mess there. Changed. Now in the At-Tibyan fi Tafsir al-Quran, it is basically an exegesis of the Quran by Sheikh Tusi. He says the people of Ad were tall like palm trees and destroyed mountains. This fits into the narrative of the giants and the concept that many civilizations had giants, but I'm more focused on the Middle Eastern aspect of the giants of Iran. This really is a passion project for me. I started getting into Iran. Leah would know this too, because she was there when I started doing the whole Iran thing. And I think that was like, I want to say 2020 or 2021, because I started reading Nicholas Clapp's Ubar around that time. And it's been probably a year. I want to say it's been a year or two at the very least that I've been doing this research. So fairly new, but the interesting aspect, and this is what I want to get to here, we have the Ebla tablets, not the Elba tablets, Elba being the location of the where Napoleon Bonaparte was exiled to. So you do have that. Now, what I want to get into here is we're gonna kind of switch over for a second. I want to share something else with you guys that I thought was really freaking cool. So the National Geographic had a little thing about Iran. I am just now finding this out, so this is relatively newer news for me. But what I want to do is I want to show you something that I found, and I hope you guys will rock with me on this, because it's going to be freaking legit. So there we go, and there we go. So if you look, I'm going to move this over here so that I can see what I'm doing. There we go. I hope you guys can read this. If you cannot, I can read it to you. It's perfectly fine. So the Muslims claim that the Quran is vindicated by excavations in Ebla, not Elba, where Napoleon was, and parade this as one great confirmation of the historical accuracy of the Quran. I expect an article, at least some substantial paragraph about this city in the reference article, but what does the actual article say? Ebla, splendor, or an unknown empire. The names of cities thought to have been founded much later, such as Beirut, Byblos, leap from the tablets. Damascus and Gaza are mentioned, as well as two of the biblical cities of the plain, Sodom and Gomorrah. Also included is Iram, an obscure city referred to in Surah 89 of the Quran. Nothing else is really given regarding Iram in the Ebla tablets. Now, I haven't had a chance to actually sit and read the Ebla tablets myself. I believe they have been translated. Now, Ebla was a prominent city that people didn't know existed, much like Troy. But, they ended up finding out that Troy was real, and Ebla was the same. They found one of the goddesses, I believe, in a statue form. So there is that. Now, there are several cities named for example, and we have in Sumerian times, one near Ebla in Syria and one in Chaldea. but not even the location of Iram, and certainly nothing about its famous pillars. Also in this article, not stated that Ebla traded with Iram. Now, this isn't entirely true from what I had been watching. They had said that Ebla actually did trade with Iram because that whole area, this whole area, once again, let's jump back into this. In the whole area around this part, and I'm going to show you this here. Give me 1 second. The whole area, jump back here, okay. The whole area here, as we can see, this was basically a trading route, incense, stuff like that, that they would literally trade between people. And the Nabateans were very, very well versed in trading with other nations regarding incense and things of that nature. So when we look at that and we put our eyes in this part of the world, we're going to start seeing some things match up and come together. Now, the pre-Islamic societies talk about what are known as the old ones, the men that were old, I should say. I know that sounds kind of like, okay, but they were the same from what I've been reading as the Nephilim or the men of renown. Meaning, if we can connect these two things, these two very important aspects of both Islamic culture and Judaic culture, we can start making connections to fully connect where Iram of the Pillars actually sits and who inhabited it. Now, the lofty pillars idea was something that was written in the Quran and also in 1001 Arabian Nights. I'm going to turn this brightness up a bit. It's not as, I like it to be a little bit brighter. Should I just put it back to normal, right? But like I said, the idea that we have these places and we keep finding more and more documentation about these ancient civilizations right over here, right over here. Now, what I want to do right now is I want to pull up a map of the Middle East and I want us to have a look at it because I feel like if we do that, right, we can sort of have a notion of what the Middle East itself looks like. And I think that that is important. And I want to find a good map of the Middle East here. Let's see here. Ah, yes, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so we are going to jump over to the Middle East here. We're gonna. I apologize for this being kind of a mess. I'm trying as best as I can with this because it's kind of, this is new to me. This software is brand new to me. I usually don't use it. My co-host does, but he is. We're trying to fix the the mess that happened earlier. Well, he's trying to fix it. I am not trying to fix it, but he is. So let's take a look at this map, shall we? Let's just have a little look and see what we can see. So if we look, as you notice, I have looked at Hegra, which Hegra roughly sits. Let's have a look. Roughly right here. This is Hegra. Now, if we zoom out of Hegra, right? Hegra is here. Okay, so it might take a little bit to load. Hegra sits roughly here. Okay, now if we go up into here, this is where Petra would be. So let's type in Petra. We'll type in Petra because I want to start making some connections for you guys. There we go. There's Petra. Sorry, it's going to take a while. The wireless part of this is kind of like, but it's fine. So here's Petra, right? We all know Petra. We've seen all the photos from Petra. You see the different aspects of Petra. Now, the odd thing to me, and this is what I want to connect because we're looking at Petra. We're looking at how beautiful this is, and I really want to go here one day to Jordan, to Petra. I think it'd be a magical experience, and I think that I would really fully love doing that. And I would definitely take some people. I would definitely take if Leah would like to go, we can take her and Craig and or Spider, I should say, a couple of my other friends, and go and explore, take some videos, really kind of put this out here the beauty of it. Now, what the reason I wanted to get into this, okay? I wanted to get this. I want to do a directions, right? So we're gonna go to Hegra, right? We're gonna go to Hegra, Saudi Arabia, and I want you guys to see something. This route has tolls. We're not gonna go on it because I can't even go right now. It's all right. So right here, right? Oh, did it not do what I wanted it to do? My fault. Okay. So if we're doing this, right, we see here from this angle, okay, this was the Nabatean, just some of the Nabatean area right here that the Nabateans owned and operated their incense trade. Now, Rome would come along later on, kind of tear that apart, as Rome did. They came in, they conquered. Now, it says that the Nabateans came from the Negev Desert. Okay. So if we do this, let's go here, right? We're going to type in the Negev Desert. Negev Desert. All right. And I kind of want to like throw all this together here, actually. Okay, got back up a little bit. And we're going to back up some more. Go back up some more. Okay. So as you can see, the Negev Desert is where supposedly the Nabateans originated. So they are in here in this location right there. I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor. You cannot. I did not know that. I don't know if that shows up or not. I will have to fix that because I did not know that did not show up. Anyways, you guys can see where it says Negev, right? So Petra sits in Jordan, and then we have the Nabatean or the Hegra right here. So reconnecting all this back to Iram of the Pillars, if the Nabateans and the people of Ad are from the same location, we are talking about the Negev Desert being the birthplace, okay, of the tribe of Ad, and the tribe of Ad were giants. Shaddad ben Ad himself was, I believe, Gilgameshian heights of being like 13 to 16 feet. So that being the case, we have giants that are sitting in this location right here, the Negev Desert, right there, right? Then we have them migrate over to Petra, okay? The Nabateans, I mean. But if the tribe of Ad and the Nabateans come from the same location, you have to wonder if there is a connection, if there is a full-on, there was a breeding between or a mingling between these two tribes. Now, if the tribe of Ad was completely removed, right, they completely just kind of went down in this location here, which is supposedly where this is located over here in this vicinity here. If they completely went over here, that is a serious migration. And let's just check something because I want to see something here. Rube. All right, I want to see the direction, how long it would take. We could not calculate directions from the empty quarter to Negev. Okay, let's this guy. All right, jokester McJokester. What's up, nobody? Nobody's in the building. What's going on? Glad to see you here. So if we in fact take this area here and if we go from the Petra's over here. Petra is a little bit over from the Negev aspect. We're running down 7 hours into Hegra, right? Running down into Hegra, that's 7 hours. So if Hegra sits a little bit, you see where it says Medina, right? A lot of people say Medina, but it's Medina. You go up a little bit, I would say maybe like an inch on this map, inch and a half, and then move over to the left a little bit. That's 7 hours. So if we just keep going, so that's 7 hours. Let's say a little bit next to the A is another 7 hours. A little bit below the S in Saudi Arabia is another 7 hours. So what, 7:14? Let's go in between, about halfway between Saudi Arabia and the empty quarter. That's 21 hours. And that's by car, mind you. That's by car. That's not by walking. And then we go another 7 hours. That's under the P in the empty quarter. So that's 28 hours. And then we finally run into this area here right above Salalah, where like above that would probably be where the Pillars of Iram, the city of Iram, is in fact located. You're talking 28 hours, 28 to 35 hours, right? If you were driving, but walking, doing the caravan, you might have a couple months, a couple years of migrating to that area to rule. Now, I want to point something out too that is that was, and I believe, and Leah had picked this up and had sent this out to us because she's awesome. She sent out the Tales of the Marvelous and the Strange. In that book, which is almost like a companion to the 1001 Arabian Nights, it says that Shaddad bin Ad had conquered the known world. The guy, the head guy that had Iram of the Pillars had conquered the known world. Okay, so it's not too far off to say, hey, they came, cut through Saudi Arabia, right? Boom, empty quarter, nothing there at the time. Now, if we go on what is said in the Quran with Allah basically sinking the entire city, putting the city underground. If that's the case, what if that wasn't a desert, but then it became a desert? What if that wasn't a desert? Okay. But after that had happened, it became a desert. And so the what was going on there sunk, sands come in, almost Sodom and Gomorrah-esque. We see some similarities between this and Sodom and Gomorrah, which is fascinating to me personally. Now, if we look a couple years removed, couple 100 years down the line, all of a sudden now we have the Nabateans who flourish in roughly the same area, roughly from the Negev Desert. They build Petra, which is the known city of these people. Then they build Hegra, right? And Hegra is down deeper into Saudi Arabia. Now, the one thing, and I wanna put Hegra back up here because it's highly important, and I want to show you guys this because it's really cool. But Hegra, Saudi Arabia, right here, sitting, right, built all of these. See, like there's people taking pictures. Look at that. If we cross-reference that to Petra, we see some dazzling similarities. I mean, look at this. This is stonework that we don't even do. Look at that. They built this, right? This is Nabatean architecture, okay? Now, what strikes me as very interesting with Nabatean architecture and the architecture at Petra is it almost seems like the two things are in fact related. Like, here's Petra, here's Hegra, right? They're both built by the Nabateans. But we have Iram of the Pillars, okay? Now, Iram of the Pillars was this beautiful built city where these giants lived. I mean, lofty pillars. So their architectural design, in my personal opinion, I don't have proof because I have not yet found Iram. One day I will find it and we will all have a celebratory drink. I believe that the same building architecture was used in Iram as it was in Petra, as it was in Hegra. Maybe not to the same exact degree, right? Because I doubt they built it into rock structures, which is fascinating to me because the fact that you can build something of that magnitude in a rock structure is one of the most amazing things ever. Now, if any of you have any questions or want to make comments, please, by all means, the chat is open in both the YouTube and in the Facebook. So please ask questions, leave comments. I really want to hear from you guys. I really want to know what you guys think about all all of this. Like this to me is one of the most fascinating conversations, topics that I could do, you know. Um it really just makes me happy that I found something that I'm fascinated in, that I can research, and that hasn't been overwhelmed. You don't see a lot of people clamoring to get into Iram of the Pillars or the idea of Iram of the Pillars. And that is probably one of my favorite things is the fact that it's not well known. There's still a lot of information that if we do the research and if we sit down and we pour over these books and things like that, because I have a lot of these books here at the house, it's just utterly fascinating to me. It's something that I could see myself doing this and really devoting a lot of my time, a lot of my energy, just really a lot of everything into this. I feel like this is where this is a calling of mine. You know, the another thing that I really enjoyed about this too, about what I'm doing, is the fact that they mentioned talking about the old ones, and a lot of different civilizations, a lot of different cultures always talk about the old ones, like a precursor group of people that lived in the on this world and they're no longer here. And we have different architectural designs that we as people today in this day and age cannot replicate. We can't replicate the same designs, the same architecture, the same buildings that they did. You know, we've all seen the stones at Chichen Itza that are so fitted perfectly you can't even get a playing card in between because it's fitted exactly how it's supposed to be fitted. And that to me is fascinating. And that speaks of the old ones. Now, if we run back to the book of Enoch, which I have poured countless hours into studying, reading, translating, we see that the notion of um, being given, right? Being given things like beautifying the eyes, astrology, armor making, blacksmithing, things like that supposedly came from these group of Nephilim or the fallen angels or the fallen ones or the watchers or however you want to do it. But then you have in pre-Islamic folklore the concept of the old ones. The old ones. That's different. Native Americans talk about also the old ones or the race that came before them. I know a lot of people like to say, well, you know, they are the Native Americans are trying to figure out the word I'm looking for here. Indigenous. They were here. But in a lot of recorded history from the Native Americans, they talk about people living there before they came there, before they migrated over. In a couple of the books I have regarding giants, it talks about stories of Native Americans moving to different parts of the Midwest, different tribes moving into the Midwest and finding these mythological giants. Well, I shouldn't say mythological because they found skeletons of them. And they also talk about wars with a precursor race, a race that was here before them. Was our world populated by people that were taller, stronger, faster? It's highly possible. The more we read, the more we research, the more we are delving into these topics daily, we are finding that the giants of Iran, the Nephilim, the fallen ones, the Gilgameshes, the uh, Agras, all of these beings existed. Now you can't throw one thing at me and say, okay, the Nephilim couldn't have existed. Okay, if they didn't exist, then what about the men of old? And they were giants. Oh, they didn't exist either. That's folklore. Okay, what about the Native American giants? Oh, they didn't exist as folklore. What about the South American giants in the Amazon that supposedly are still there and they have a whole civilization built deep into the Amazon? Oh, they're fake too. Okay, but what about the giant skeletons they've actually found? Well, they never found them. Well, why are there traces of the Smithsonian coming in? taking them and escorting them out. Instances of people actually, the Smithsonian came in to I forget his name, but they tried to buy it. They legit tried to buy a skeleton off of his property, right? Like legitimately tried to buy it. Literally, like, we'll give you this money, you give us, and the guy didn't sell. So that should tell you something else in regards to giants. And it all circles back to me to Iram of the Pillars with these giants, with these large people. And there's a very striking similarity of civilization being destroyed. We have it in Sodom and Gomorrah, when the people of Sodom and Gomorrah were sexual deviants, is the best way that I can put that. And they wanted to do things to the messengers, the angels that came through. They give them to us. We want them. And I wonder if Iran was kind of very similar, because Iran supposedly were pagans. They did not want to bow to Allah, and they wanted nothing to do with that. And the prophet Hud came in, said, hey, you got to do this or else God is going to destroy the city. They said, nah, we're good. So a drought came, and they're like, oh, cool, whatever, we're still not going to do it. Then clouds came into Iran, right? These big giant clouds came in, and the people thought, cool, we got rain coming, we're straight, but it destroyed the city. Basically sunk an entire city. How can you sink an entire city? But you wipe it off the map. Like, it has never been found. They have Nicholas Clapp, Lawrence of Arabia. I forget there's another gentleman, T.E. Lawrence, but I think T. Lawrence is Lawrence. Yeah, that's Lawrence of Arabia. Ralph Fiennes, and there's somebody else who wrote Arabia Felix, and I am drawing a blank on who that person is. Arabia Felix. We're going to look this up real quick, because I want to know, and I want you guys to know, because I feel like, the more we all know, maybe somebody can chime in the chat and say, hey, this is something that I read here. You should look into this. All right, so here we go. Arabia Felix was written by, which is a Latin name, basically. Book. Figure out who wrote it. Come on. Thorkild Hansen is the one who wrote it, and was published in 1962, regarding this whole idea of going into the empty quarter. I'm sorry, they got another book with this. This book was actually written by Bertram Thomas in 1932, where they go into the empty quarter. They go into the empty quarter. Now, something that I've always found fascinating, and this isn't to get too political, because I'm not trying to do that in the show. We have been, as the United States, we have been in the Middle East for roughly, oh my goodness. Let's see, Eisenhower was in it, and that's like 40s, 50s-ish. So we're talking, let's see, 1940. Let's go 1940, because I don't remember when his presidency was. I don't remember Eisenhower's presidency. I want to say 50s. Because I think when Eisenhower, then Kennedy, then Johnson, then Ford, Carter, Bush Sr., Reagan, Clinton, Bush Jr., Obama, Trump, Biden. Okay. I wanted to make sure in my head that I got all that right. But we've been in there since like Eisenhower days, like trouble in Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. But we've been in there, and a lot of times people say it's to fight for freedom or to fight for the oil reserves, whatever. And maybe that's true in certain instances, but we had back, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, when ISIS was going hamburger helper in different parts of the Middle East. They were running and destroying Buddha-like monuments. Okay, these are big giant Buddha statues that look like the Buddha. We all know what the Buddha is from Buddhism, obviously. Destroying them. running into museums and destroying that there. Why is it always in that area in the Middle East? Why? Why is the hotbed of our strife, of the things that go crazy? Why is that in the Middle East? For those of you that want to know, this is a fake shot that came with a doctor's kit my son gave me. So that's what, if that's what you're wondering what it is. The ADHD is running wild, brother. Like, I got a lot to say, but I also got to fidget. So pardon me, by the way. But why all the drama? If there's nothing over there, there would be really no reason for us to be there. There'd be no reason for the rest of the world to be there. There was nothing there. Because there's other places in the world that nobody seems to be at. We don't have a lot of involvement in South American countries. And we have the Aztec, the Incan, and the Mayans. Whole civilizations that don't exist, with some not existing at all, and there being no trace of them even leaving. They just, or no trace of them after they left. They left this big, huge settlement, and there's no traces of them. Now, in the area, they say that some people migrated, and then they bred with the people there, and then they, so on and so forth with that. But we're never over there. We're not in South American countries. We're not in Asian countries. We're not in European countries like that. You know what I mean? But this place, these locations, we are in heavy. We are in heavy. And this is basically our birthplaces. This is where we all come from. That region, we're talking, I mean, we can dip into a little bit of Africa too with Egypt. And they are super tight-lipped on almost everything that happens in that country. You can't just go in there as an archaeologist and just start digging and going nuts. And I say that, you can't really do that anywhere, but in Egypt, it's super strict. All your findings have to be shared with them first. If you share with anybody else, you can get jailed or moved from the country. That's not to stop somebody from just being like, okay, I'm going to share my findings, and then, I'll do it when I get home. They'll go through tapes. They'll go through everything you could possibly find in order to fully understand what you're doing. All right. I get they're trying to protect their culture, protect their civilization, but why to the extent of that? And a lot of these countries are the same way, and they're war torn, and there's things that don't make sense to me personally. Now, like I said, I'm not trying to turn this political. It just strikes me as odd that we've been in the Middle East for well over 5 decades. More than that, actually. We go 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 2000, 10, 20, 80 years. 80 years. We've been there for 8 decades. 8 decades. Almost a full-on century. We've almost been in the Middle East for a full-on century. And we could have been there earlier. But the record that I looked up last was talking about Eisenhower and dealing with Iran and things like that. But you just have these ancient civilizations just chilling. And here we are. And here other countries are. And we're constantly over there. And I have to really just sit back and think to myself, what a wonderful world. I had to say that, by the way. But what's over there? I'm fascinated by all things Middle East. You can ask the people around me. I have been into this stuff for a very, very long time. I mean, Iran was probably, Iran was probably a solid year, right? But before that, I've been studying biblical stuff for 20 years, 30 years of my life. I grew up in the church. I grew up learning about these places, Damascus, learning about where Christ walked, learning about the different places, different locations, Hebron, and the Persians, being in the Bible and their culture, and there was a mingling of cultures. And then you learn about King Og of Bashan. You learn about all these different fascinating places. And a lot of people, they hear the Bible and they go into sort of a shutdown mode. They think, oh, it's religion. I don't, it's all nonsense. But when you really sit down and you start taking apart and picking apart and learning that, wait a minute now, there are things that connect between different groups of people. Muslims Christians, Jews are all connected in a single source. And to be honest, and this isn't talked about as much, and it kind of irks me because they always talk about the people of the book or the people of the lands, right? And they'll run Muslims, Christians, and Jews, right, as those people. But they never put in the fourth group of people, and that's Zoroastrians. They never put Zoroastrians in with the people of the faiths. And the Zoroastrians were there for a very long time. That belief system is very old. It's one of the oldest in the world. And they talk about giants. Like, there is a full-on guy that reminds me of Thor. He has very similar aspects to Thor. Mithras. This dude is bananas. Like, he is Thor in the Avesta. Like, if you read the Avesta, I've read the Avesta. I've read pieces of the Avesta. I haven't had a chance to sit down and actually read the whole Avesta. I would love at one point to actually get a copy and read it, like a physical copy. You know, it's reading on the computer is one thing, but I like to be able to like read it and then go over here to my extended libraries. I have one in the back, but I also have one over here that you guys can't see, and pull things that are similar, because I have found similarities in religions. I have found similarities between the Nag Hammadi and the New Testament because they're very much related. I have found similarities between the Old Testament and the Quran, and I found these similarities and I have studied them ad nauseum, and I will continue to study them forever. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. So thank you to the people that donate on the Patreon. If you want to donate on the Patreon, it's still very much there. Patreon.com/this uncanny earth. Please. Apologies. So please donate. It helps us. It really does. It helps us get materials. It helps us take trips. It helps us meet new people and do really amazing things. So please, by all means, if you can, donate to the Patreon. We're going to be setting up a like buy you a coffee thing where people can do one-time donations. Like, say you're like, I want to donate those $5 to those guys. I like what they're talking about. I like the cut of their jibs, if you will. But it also helps us buy books, especially me, because I like to have a plethora of knowledge and wisdom. I like to have a good amount of that. That bookshelf behind me is just a small. It's a fragment. There's a bookshelf there. There's 2 bookshelves upstairs, and they all hold different knowledge and wisdom that I have pieced together over the years. And I'm still always looking. And if you have any books you guys want to donate, by all means, we can set up the address and you guys can donate them out. I know a good friend of the channel's got us a copy of the Shems AlMacharif, and that is sitting over there. And I've been kind of pouring through that. I've just been really going through a lot of this Arabic folklore and magic and things like that, because there is a 100% split in Arabs from pre-Arabic civilization, right, and post-Arabic civilization. So like the pre-Arabic civilization, well, they were still Arabs, right, but they weren't. I worded that wrong. Pre-Islamic civilizations, and they talk about the gods and the goddesses because there was that. And a lot of times with gods and goddesses, they didn't have images. They did not have images. It could have been a giant block, and that was their best representation because they didn't know what the god or goddess looked like. So they built these giant obelisks, or they built these giant pillars, and boom, there you go. But the pre-Islamic stuff is fascinating because once you read after Islam comes in and takes the foothold, and then finally takes the region, then takes the Middle East, you find that things are more strict. They're very orthodox in their ideologies. There's not that freedom that there was in pre-Islamic times of worshiping pagan influences and things like that. And you have a very I'm so sorry. I promise you guys are not boring. I promise I'm not bored. I'm just it's been a day. A good day, a very good day actually. But you have these influences because I have met and I have quite a few Islamic friends, Muslim friends, and there's certain things they can and can't do. And then when I read the pre-Islamic ideologies, it's very similar to like pagans of Europe, right? Before Rome. You know, they had similar concepts, similar ideologies. And then you realize that Rome came in, Rome drops their gods and goddesses. Then Rome tightens it up and goes monotheistic with Christianity with Constantine, bringing Christianity in. Then you have the Council of Nicaea, which really ropes it all in to keep the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi out. And so it's very similar in Islam. You have the Quran comes in and it tightens everybody up, you know, and a lot of censorship happens, which isn't good. And this isn't me, going off on Islam. I think it's fascinating too. I just find the pre-Islamic ideas of the Arabic peninsulas, of these places like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Yemen, Oman, Jordan, Israel. I think I already said that. And all that there, I find that area fascinating. And you run down into Egypt, which I also find fascinating. But Egypt's been done to death. Egypt has been 100% done to death. It's been dug up, buried, dug up again, buried again, dug up, buried. I still find it fascinating, and I still am learning about different pharaohs all the time. There are a lot of pharaohs. But to me, we see similarities with pre-Islamic Arabia, and the Book of Enoch style, where people are basically worshiping these demigods. Really, it's what it sounds like. It's the idea of the Nephilim sound like demigods. They sound like Hercules. All of these gods and goddesses we have in Greek, in Roman, in different mythologies around the world, they're all giant for the most part. Or they have giants. If we look, Poseidon had sons that were giants. Okay. Reminds me a lot of the mating between Nephilim, okay, and human women. Yes. Quite. So, there's just those kind of things that really form together, like Voltron. Really, they form the notion that puzzle pieces are fitting together. And the more that I dig, the more that I research, the more that I open these books, the more I look on these websites, the more I look at these maps, the more I watch these YouTube documentaries, I'm realizing that this is a lot more true than we were led to believe. I didn't know about the Nephilim when I was a kid. In church, I was taught Adam and Eve, David and Goliath, Noah, Job, obviously Jesus, the resurrection, either the crucifixion, the resurrection. That was about it. The different the stories that they told, like the tongue of fire coming down so people could talk that language. Revelations, I read as a kid, right? Read as a kid. It's heavy symbology. It's very symbolic. It's not what it seems. It's a very symbolic thing. But I was never told about other religions. You weren't supposed to follow any other religions. You were not supposed to do that. In a lot of churches, you weren't even supposed to study them, because it was thought that by studying these things, you're letting demons in, you're letting all this in, and this, that, and the third. But when I got older and grew out of the church, I realized that there's a lot more belief systems. There are so many denominations in Christianity itself. You have Catholics, you have Protestants, you have Jehovah's Witnesses, you have Seventh-day Adventists, you have Christian Science, you have the Amish, who have their own set of standards and rules, and it's just a vast amount of people that believe in the same God in different manners. I didn't know about that. But like I would sit and try to read the Bible, but yelling pastors McGee in the front, he's yelling at us. Everybody's a sinner. He's a sinner too, though, so it's not like he's any better than us. But then I started actually reading it, the Old Testament. Like I really would just sit down and pore over it and find it fascinating. You learn about these things that happen. You learn about there was a whole race of giants. You learn that the flood happens, right? The flood happens in Noah's time. But if we fast forward to Joshua fighting King Og and fighting his warriors, the Rephaim and other groups like that, they're giants too. So the flood didn't actually wipe out all the giants. It might have been localized. A lot of people say it was worldwide. I don't know. But once again, giants. Everything comes back to giants. Everything. The city of Aram, giants. And when you find out that the Nabateans and the Ad come from the same location, or like we're around the same location, and you see these buildings that the Nabateans built, and you hear about Aram of its lofty pillars, meaning very, very high. These things were huge. Giants. Then you come back, you come into the United States, and there's whole mounds where they found giants. I was in Charleston about, I want to say July was the time? July, and there was another time, I think like September maybe, that I went to Charleston. And I was on their mound in the Creole Mound, I believe, in South Charleston. It's legit in the middle of like a street. You literally come down and boom, there it is. It's very beautiful. It's one of the most breathtaking things I've ever seen. But they found giants there. They found giants in all these mounds, right? So giants, once again, what is it? You have so many tales and stories of giants in history. What's it all mean? I don't know. You guys have any questions? We're really almost done. I took this on my shoulders at the last minute because my co-host, his laptop basically took a dive. So all the stuff that we had been working on for the show, our theme music, our video, all of it might be gone. So, but what that does for me is that just makes me want to work harder and keep rebuilding and keep getting back up no matter how many times we have to get back up. I've been doing this show for 4 years almost. Well, it's 4 years now. 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, we've been doing this show for 4 years. 4 years. I'm not going to stop. We're going to grow our brands. We have This Uncanny Gaming. We have the Uncanny Spirits Club. We have different things. And I want to pull more people in. I want to get you guys involved. I know there's a couple of you that I would really love to bring in and give you guys some creative freedom. You want to do some uncanny cooking? By all means, please cook up something delicious. You want to do some art for the show? Come on, do some art. Come on in. We'll I want to build a great community where everybody can eat. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier. I'm like, anybody that is around me, that is in my vicinity, that I love and care for, you're not going to work a horrible job if I'm doing good. I refuse. You won't come under the umbrella. You're going to work under the umbrella, and we're all gonna make it, man. We're all gonna make it. It's just a matter of time, and I want all of you with me. I want all of you that have supported us from day one. Like I want you all involved. Like it would mean so much to me if all of you actually got involved. And then we network, and then we keep growing, and then we have a channel that grows. People love it. Then your guys' channels, we branch you off. You've got people now, and it's just a continuous growth. And then we become what we need to become, I think. And I think that with my role in this as the owner of This Uncanny Earth, This Uncanny Media Network, I would love to grow with all of you. I would love that, you know, and the co-owner, Spider, he's not here tonight. He's probably livid that he's dealing with the craziness, but the show has to go on. So I hope you guys liked it. I really do. It was basically spur of the moment. I was like, shoot, I got to find something I love to talk about. Boom, Iran. Boom, Nabateans. And you guys got to see the maps, and that was cool to me. So I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of This Uncanny Earth. We'll be back. We'll be back next week, and Spider will be here, and we'll be doing that. We're gonna have a lot of stuff down the pipeline now. I know Spider's probably going through it right now with this laptop situation, but we'll get him taken care of too. We're gonna get him squared away. We're gonna get him back at it. We're gonna get you guys back up to speed on the show. Please, please, please donate to the Patreon. Helps keep the lights on. As you can see, I got to use these lights because the lights. No electric bill. Sorry, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But donate to the Patreon, like, share, subscribe, all of that. Do what the YouTubers tell you to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share, buy us Waffle House gift cards. Whatever y'all got to do to support the channel. Support the goddamn channel because we're going to make it happen. I am going to start doing clips, cut clips, do what I got to do in that angle and re-uploading because I think that works really well. We're also going to be doing some more trips at some point as soon as the Uncanny budget is where it needs to be. And that's what the Patreon and the donations are so important because this affords us to take these trips, to go to haunted locations, to go to places where they've seen UFOs, to go to places of historical value. Cahokia is a place I want to go in, I believe, Illinois. And I think we're going to make that summer trip this year. 2023. I think I'm going to take Wee Coast Jones with me. I'm going to take maybe a couple other people because I would love to have a crew. We go out, we film, we upload it, bada boom, bada bang, listen to the sirens ring. You feel me? And I really want a team. I want a team of people. And I believe that I have the team of people in my corner that we can do this thing and make it happen. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate the comments. They were few and far between, but I loved them anyways. I would love to get more people in on this and conversating and having conversations, and I could answer questions. It's all good though. You know, it's still we're learning. It's still in the early phase of the YouTube era. We did the speaker era. It did not pan out how I wanted to. It's fine. But the YouTube era, I think, is going to be a lot better for us, a lot better for what we're trying to do, a lot better for the environment. I think the environment of us and the show and being able to screen share stuff with you guys and just doing everything in our positive power to make sure you guys get the good stuff every single week here on This Uncanny Earth and here in the Uncanny Media Network. So we're gonna make it happen. And I want all of you to join us. I want you guys to be with us. But please, 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 please like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever you got to do, but please get the word out for us. New business cards coming soon. Also, that's about it. That's about it. I don't know what I was gonna say. That's it. Check us out. We will be back next week, next Friday. Check out This Uncanny Gaming tomorrow. I'll be back streaming some amazingness. Also, check out This Uncanny Spirits Club. My co-host will be doing whatever he does with the spirits that he drinks, and that's about it. That's about it. So, thank you. You guys tuned in for an hour's worth of show. You got an hour's worth of show. So appreciate you. You guys are great. Love y'all. Anyways, as I always say, why be boring when you can be uncanny? We will see you folks next week. Peace.